How's it going, KastKing fans? This is Ethen Preston from Preston Outdoors, coming back to you guys with another technique video. We're continuing this series, and today I'm going to talk to you about the spinnerbait. Spinnerbait is a very, very versatile technique bait, whatever you want to call it, that I used all over the country. North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, you know, all the way down to Texas. Been fishing it quite a bit down there in the past. And what I primarily like to use this is for shallow water, and it's a search bait. If I'm looking for fish, if they're going to be up in the spawning flats, if they're there yet, if they're not there yet, if I'm looking for if the fish are starting to move up shallower like they are now in the fall. Today the temperature is only 53 degrees with air temperature, like I said, at 53. Water temperature is sitting about, I want to say about 62, 63 degrees. I haven't been to this lake for about 2 weeks. The water temperature's already dropped about 10 degrees just from this cold front we're having come through. And I don't know where the fish are at. I knew where they're at 2 weeks ago, but I don't know where they're at today. So what I'm going to be doing is throwing this spinnerbait around in shallow cover, trying to find where these fish are at. I'm going to talk about my setup a little bit here. Today I'm using a 7.2 KastKing Perigee 2 rod. This is a medium heavy action rod. I got this on the Royale Legend baitcasting reel with 20-pound KastKing FluoroKote fluorocarbon. And the reason I elected to go with a little bit higher gear ratio reel instead of the Assassin is I'm speed burning this bait. I'm not really slow rolling it anywhere. I'm going to be burning it through the cover, keeping this big Colorado blade here up in the water column. And I elected to go with 20-pound fluorocarbon. Here in Minnesota right now, the water is severely clear, and I just want to give those fish just a look at the bait, not let them know there's line here. Again, using a medium heavy action rod because I'm going to be fishing, like you see here, these bulrushes, cattails, maybe even some docks. Shallow water, just beating the bank, trying to find if the fish are shallow yet or not. And so we're going to do this. It's another great technique for fun fishing, pond fishing, whatever you want to do. But for me, today, I'm going to be searching with it. Now you can see we got these pencil reeds, bulrushes, cattails mixed in. A lot of floating vegetation from recreational boats that blown into here, and lily pads as well. So all I'm going to be doing is just finding the pockets, casting out, finding the pockets, letting it hit, and just reeling it in. That's all I'm going to be doing. When I feel a bite, you set the hook and reel them in. Try and keep them out of that submerged vegetation, because we're only about 3-4 feet here. Even though the water temperature is reading, actually it's reading about 60 degrees. And keeping this bait high in the water column, giving it some pops to flare that skirt. And all I'm looking for here is little cubbies, little holes, little points. And I'm going to wait and see if I can get bit and kind of let the fish tell me what they want. If they want it faster, burning, maybe a little slower. If they're even shallow at all, maybe I need to go out a little deeper and fish some deeper bulrushes or some cleaner bottom, a little bit deeper docks and stuff like that. But the only way I'm going to be able to know that is if I fish around here for a little bit, and I'll take you guys with me. Not what we're looking for, but only the 4th or 5th cast. Got ourselves, if you guys don't know what this is a little northern pike. Really toothy, get out of there, fly. Really toothy critters and slimy, but it doesn't, the spinnerbait is very versatile. It doesn't have to be just for bass. Like I said, that was my 5th cast. I already got a pike, which lets me know that there could be some fish sitting shallower. But we're still looking for that big largemouth. Again, if you catch, wherever you're at in the country, you catch a 5th fish with some sharper teeth, always check your line, retie if there's any nicks, because you don't want a little bitty nick in your line to be the reason why you lose a big one. Another one. Get all that salad off of there. Again, not a largemouth we're looking for, but again, Good fight. That was just the cast right after I just threw that other one back. These guys are trying to put on the feed bag as well. Lets me know that there's fish in the shallows, just not the right ones yet. Cast right after that pike. Up by this dock. Oh, there we go. That was literally the cast right after that second pike. Up by this dock. Power pole down here a little bit. There we go. Threw up right next to that dock. That pontoon lift there. Look at that. 2.5 pound largemouth bass. Bright green. Fish is a little bit cold. Like I said, we're only in 3-4 feet of water. Water temperature in the low 60s. You can't really beat that, that's for sure. Put them back. Kiss them and release them. Again, we're just beating the bank. Shallow water areas. Now if I get bit, this is another tip. We won't go over exactly over today, but here's a little tip for you guys. If you're looking for an area to kind of, tournament fishing wise, if you're looking for an area to be able to sit down and try and dissect some bigger fish, a spinnerbait is the perfect bait to find those areas. If I throw up in here again, and I was in a tournament scenario, I throw up in here again and I get bit again, I'm going to slow down. I'm going to put the power poles down. I'm going to come back here with a swim jig, a jig, Cinco, something like that, just to slow down and see how many fish I can actually get in this area. Now that we're not necessarily in a tournament situation here, or practicing, we're just kind of fun fishing. You could just leave a spinnerbait on all day and go back, but remember those areas where you get more than one bite, because probably that's where they're schooling up. See if we can get another one. Another one by that dock. There we go. 3 casts later. Other side of that dock there. About a pound fish. And again, since I got 2 bites here, in a tournament scenario, I'd sit down and chill and throw something slower. Put him back. Throw something slower. But even if you're fun fishing, you got multiple people. Even if you don't have power poles or whatever you're using to stay in place, you're in a kayak, whatever, I don't care what you're using. A spinnerbait's a great bait to find fish. Let's see if there's another one. Another tip I want to give you guys, or not really a tip, just kind of my personal preference. I get asked a few times from family, friends, different people, what color spinnerbait should I use? And for me, a really good confident spinnerbait is just a classic white spinnerbait. Now, if you notice this one, I'm using the Colorado blade there, a little bit wider blade. This makes the bait, since it's displacing more water than a willow blade, which is thinner, it's keeping it higher in the water column. It might not necessarily make as much noise because most of the time a willow blade spinnerbait has 2 blades on it, but it's keeping it higher in the water column. Both of them work great. When it comes to colors, oh, there's one. Oh my gosh, that's a big one. Oh my gosh. Holy cow. We were putting on a clinic. Look at that. Ugh. Look how deep that is. Spinnerbait, boys and girls. There we go. Putting on that feed bag. That's another 3.5 pounder. Look at that big mouth, big bucket mouth. Mwah. Like I said here before I was interrupted, I'll take that interruption all day from that fish. But most of the time I'm going to be using a white spinnerbait or white and chartreuse. I have used yellow. Yellow happens to be my favorite color, so I throw a lot of yellow baits just because I like them. It seems like bass seem to like yellow stuff as well. Don't ask me why. But this is your shad color. We don't necessarily have shad up here in Minnesota, North Dakota. I think there might be a few lakes, but it doesn't get It gets too cold for them. They die off, you know, ice up and stuff like that. But here's another tip. I like it. I was throwing that bait ways up there. It's a cloudy day. I can see the white spinnerbait. I can see it with my eyes. And when I see it disappear, either I'm going to pop it, trying to rip through the weeds, or I'm going to set the, when I pop it and my rod starts bending over again, well, then I know it's a fish. There, I was watching this bait, talking to you guys, all of a sudden, boom, the white disappears, kind of pop it, well, it pulled back, keep reeling it, here we got a nice fish. So it's not necessarily, it's kind of a two-way street. The bass seem to like the color, and I like it so I can see them even on a cloudy day like today. I can see the bait when it disappears. Another question I get asked is, why do you throw it on fluorocarbon? This, like I said, this is 20-pound FluoroKote fluorocarbon from KastKing here, and I could even bump it up to 20-25 pound. In the past, I used braid, all braided line, and the reason why I switched, one is visibility. You know, fluorocarbon doesn't reflect sunlight, so it's invisible in the water. Get you some more bites, bigger bites. Like I mentioned before, I'm using really clear water here. Another thing is, when I had braid, the way braid works, as soon as I get a bite, set the hook, it sends the kinetic energy through my rod to the bait. Since braid has no stretch, sends it to the bait instantaneously. So I ended up having a lot of fish were hooked right around the rim of the mouth, or they were jumping off at the boat, like that one kind of boiled at the top, to where they could throw the hook because it's on the outside of their mouth. To where when I have this fluorocarbon, it has, you know, a little bit of stretch, not as much as monofilament, but a little bit of stretch. I wouldn't throw monofilament on here because, again, we're in a lot of weeds here, has too much stretch for me personally, so I'm going to throw it on this fluorocarbon to where when I see that bait disappear or I feel the bite, by the time I set the hook, the fish has had a chance to swallow the bait a little bit farther by the time my kinetic energy gets from when I set the hook all the way down to the bait. Notice how that last fish had it deep in its throat? I seen it eat the bait, set the hook, but it was still swallowing it before the kinetic energy got all the way to the bait itself, and again, it gets hooked deep. That pike missed it 3 times and just kept reeling. And there he ate it. Again, multi-species bait is a spinnerbait, that's for sure. Walleyes, pike, largemouth bass, smallmouth bass. Anything that's trying to put on the feed bag or likes a little fish imitation, shad imitation bait, whatever you got for natural forage in your lakes. So I think that's where we're going to end today's video. I hope you guys found this informational. I'll try to give you as much information in a short amount of time as possible. Again, a spinnerbait can be used all year long. I start throwing it in the spring when the water's in the 50 degrees and I'm trying to look for fish. I'm always looking for fish with a spinnerbait. For me, fishing tournaments, fun fishing, I'm always trying to find where the fish are, and this is a great shallow water way for me to find the fish. So I want to thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to KastKing. They're on Instagram, you know, Facebook, YouTube. Sign up for all their social medias, because myself and all the other KastKing ambassadors around the United States are coming to you with great informational videos on how to catch certain species. If you haven't already, again, I'm Ethen Preston from Preston Outdoors. Check out my YouTube channel. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube as well, Twitter, all at Preston Outdoors. And again, there's going to be links below in the video for you guys to check out these KastKing products. I want to thank you guys for watching, and tune in next time.